Lee Burke, we're your insurance partner. Thought we'd start Thursday off with a beautiful thought. If you can't sell real estate because of any difficulties in the market, you can sell the weather today, can't you?
Yeah.
This is why everybody comes to Florida. A little bit of humor. Somebody sent me an email containing some newspaper headlines. These are real life newspaper headlines that are worth a chuckle or two. County to pay $250,000 to advertise lack of funds. Volunteer search for old Civil War planes. I didn't know there were any new Civil War planes, but that's a different issue. 10 Commandments. Supreme Court says some okay, some not. If anybody sees a follow-up on that and finds out which one we don't have to follow, let me know. I particularly like this one. Statistics show that teen pregnancy drops off significantly after age 25. Folks, I didn't write these, I'm just reading them. And this last one's a little bit on the cruel side. One-armed man applauds the kindness of strangers. Oh well. For those of you who have had to listen to me before, I think you all know that I'm kind of a free market guy. And while I admire and respect and think that our beloved state citizens does a good job, given that it's a big bureaucracy, I'm definitely in favor of using free market alternatives if they are available in the vast majority of cases. There are some cases where simply clients are better off doing business with citizens, but I do tend to prefer the free market. Now, my philosophies in that regard are not necessarily promoted by all of the insurance industry. There are agents and there are some folks out there that don't have a lot of options, and they tend to try to promote citizens on the basis that it really is kind of a state institution, and if they don't have anything else to sell, citizens is a real good alternative because the prices aren't outrageous, and it is a state-run organization. But I will tell you there are things coming down the road relative to citizens that are really going to differentiate the fact that Citizens is what it is intended to be, which is a market of last resort. Citizens is not intended, was never created with the intent to compete with the open market. It has competed with the open market much more effectively than the state legislatures wanted to, and there are steps being taken to make sure that stops. An item that I will send you more information on as we get it, but we got an email the other day from Citizens announcing that starting next year, they're going to be making additional coverage changes in their policies, which are going to be restricting coverages quite considerably in some areas. So the Citizens policies, which are not now comparable to open market policies in terms of coverage, are going to become less so. Much more importantly to the marketplace and to you as realtors dealing with homes in many cases that need to be insured with Citizens, or Citizens may be the only market, is a change that's happening next year. And I will send you information on this. We just got this email literally it was last night. As of January 1st, Citizens is going to be requiring, they're going to be putting statements in their applications which must be signed and acknowledged by all new policyholders. The statement is going to have 3 affirmations that the policyholders must acknowledge. Number 1, as a policyholder of Citizens Property Insurance Corporation, I understand that if the corporation sustains a deficit as a result of hurricane losses or for any other reason, my policy could be subject to surcharges which will be due and payable upon renewal, cancellation, or termination of the policy, and that the surcharges could be as high as 45% of my premium, or a different amount as imposed by the Florida legislature. Citizens policies have always been accessible. They have always been accessible. That is not a fact that is promoted by most agents when they sell them. If Citizens loses money, Citizens gets to come back at the end of the year, tap you on the shoulder and say, give me more. That is now going to be a written acknowledgement that people have to sign up front. It's a little sobering. Number 2, I also understand I may be subject to an emergency assessment to the same extent as policyholders of other insurance companies, or a different amount as imposed by the Florida legislature. So if Citizens assesses other insurance companies, they can turn around and assess their policyholders for that as well. And number three, I also understand that Citizens Property Insurance Corporation is not supported by the full faith and credit of the state of Florida. That is not a 999. That is something that a lot of agents kind of hint at. Well, it's, it's got Florida's backing. Citizens Property Insurance Corporation is a separate legal entity. It is overseen and kind of administered, and the rules are set by the state. But it is a separate legal entity, and it does not have the full faith and credit and backing of the state of Florida. So if Citizens goes down, and Citizens policyholders are not eligible to participate in the Florida Insurance Guarantee Fund. So if Citizens goes bankrupt, the methodology of paying Citizens claims is basically, number one, to assess, which we're addressing here, and number two, to go to the financial markets and borrow. And then there are very extensive precautions and procedures set up to do that, and I'm sure Citizens will be able to do that and meet its obligations. But the state of Florida does not back up Citizens. So I mentioned this, these have always been the realities of the marketplace. These are the reasons why, we've never been real keen on doing business with Citizens, in addition to the fact that it's a bureaucracy. So service is simply the service of a bureaucracy. They do a very good job, but it's take a number and wait at the back of the bus. But these are the financial realities, and they are financial realities that are going to be affecting your clients and the homes that you list and the homes that you sell. So to that degree, you need to be aware of it to advise your clients accordingly. So, questions? Boy.
Somebody told me that next year, possibly, there will be no more wind mitigation, discounts for wind mitigation for
that is news to me, and that would be an absolute shock. That would be a total shock. That would be counter to the very well established and I think very appropriate position of the state of Florida, which is that the state of Florida is doing everything possible to motivate, to encourage, to support, and to mandate that homeowners mitigate their homes for hurricane protection and take steps to protect properties and improve properties for hurricane safety. And the wind mitigation program, which financially supports that through insurance discounts, is an absolute cornerstone of that state philosophy. So doing away with that would be, I think it would be lunacy, I think it would be idiocy, and it's not the direction the state's going. The state is taking a very good direction, started years ago after Andrew, saying, hey, we can't get rid of hurricanes. What we can try to do is make our properties in the state as hurricane resistant as possible, and that's so I'd be shocked at that.
I think it was wind mitigation for screening closures.
Well, one of the things that Citizens, the initial heads-up email that we got yesterday on the coverage changes that are coming with Citizens is that they're going to stop insuring screen enclosures. Citizens does cover screen enclosures now. That's probably going to go away and cease to be in a Citizens policy. And by the way, one of the legitimate reasons to use Citizens today is that they do cover the bird cage enclosures. So if you've got a house with a big bird cage enclosure, it's a valid reason to use Citizens. Anything else? Thank you.
I already asked a question. We were spared hurricanes this year so far. The Northeast got hit in certain areas pretty hard. What is going to happen to insurance up there as a selling point to us that stop worrying about hurricane and hurricane insurance? It can happen any place in the country, and our policies are no different than anybody else, or is that not a fact? Or is it a situation where eventually their policies will be as stringent as ours? Or is this too early to talk?
No, I'm hesitating because you're raising a lot of very good questions, but there are several different questions there. I think the issues that we have here in Florida, and to some degree the entire Gulf Coast, and the entire Gulf Coast and the entire East Coast, because I will tell you that when you go to Long Island, when you go to the Jersey Shore, when you go to Cape Cod, they have many of the same insurance availability issues that we have in terms of getting coverage because of windstorm exposures. Long Island, the problem with Long Island is somewhat similar to here, and that's the incredible concentration of value. So insurance companies are concerned about an island sticking out in the middle of the ocean with huge values. The prices up there are not anywhere near as high. So you've got a premium issue. Our premiums are probably always going to be higher than other places because we have more hurricane potential. So premium issue is one item. To that degree, yeah, insurance costs more in Florida than in many other parts of the country, certainly more than inland parts. And that's always going to be the case. That's simply a cost of living here. Well, you know, an 80-degree days in January, that's not a bad cost to pay. You've got the life safety issues, which are legitimate issues and legitimate concerns for people to worry about. I don't think they're overriding issues. The nice thing about hurricanes is they tend not to sneak up on you. You have several days' notice to get out of Dodge if you're worried about that. You know, you've got lifestyle interruption issues if we get hit by a major hurricane, but
they got hit pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to move to Arizona and live in the dry climate, you're going to move to the Gulf states or the lower East Coast, somewhere you have the same issues wherever you go.
What I was more concerned about, or thinking about, is what we have seen with insurance today.
Right.
Are they going to see it up there? And is it something when people start to talk about hurricanes and hurricane insurance, will it be a valid point? And I think you said it would not. Well, you just haven't caught up to us yet. You will.
They'll catch up to us to some degree. I mean, one of the, yes, the more bad stuff that happens up north, the less that we hear, well, it wasn't like that back in New York. And I think that's kind of what you're asking. And I'll give you an example. I'm a firm believer in flood insurance. I mean, everything in Florida isn't a flood zone, by the way. Please don't ever, I cringe when people say I'm not in a flood zone. You're in a flood zone. You're either in a low hazard flood zone or a high hazard flood zone. You're in a flood zone. People in a low hazard flood zone tend to think they're not in a flood zone. We're 6 feet above water. Everything's a flood zone. But you know, we hear from lots of people, and I had a humorous conversation with a lady from northern New Jersey about 3 months ago, who basically said, well, I'm not in a flood zone, I don't need flood insurance. And we kind of walked through well, you are in a flood zone. It wasn't but a week or two later that most of northern New Jersey was underwater. And her attitude had been, well, you know, I'm from Jersey, nothing ever happens like that up there. Well, you know, I probably won't have that conversation again in the next 5 years because northern New Jersey almost floated away this summer.
Lee, real quick, regarding claims and checks, do checks, if you have a mortgage on a property, do checks always have to be made out to the person that owns the property and the mortgage company, or can they be made out to the owner of the property?
They're certainly supposed to be made out to the mortgage company and the owner, both. They're supposed to be, and if things are done right, that's the way they should be, because the mortgage company, the mortgage holder, has a vested interest in making sure those repairs get done and protecting their security.
Would they ever do it the other way? Would they ever?
The insurance company won't do it knowingly, certainly not without a sign off of the mortgage company, no. Because they have a legal responsibility to the mortgage company. If they were to write a check to the homeowner takes the money and goes to Vegas and has a high old time, and the mortgage company is left high and dry, the mortgage company, I guarantee you, is going to come back to the insurance company and say, pay me. Right, Brian? Yeah.
All right, Lee.
Thank you.
Brian. Next one.
Just on that note, with the checks, because in the last couple of years, we've gotten a lot of questions on checks written from insurance companies. Most banks do require, well, if there's a mortgage on the property, check has to be written in both the homeowner and the mortgage company name. If the check is under a certain amount, you can generally have your clients get those checks cashed somewhere locally. So I know Bank of America right now, we have it's about a $10,000 limit. Anything under $10,000 as an issuance from an insurance company, they can go to a local bank. Most of the banks have signing authority to sign those checks, so it's not that big of a deal. If it's a large amount, if it's 50, 60,000, or let's put it this way, anything over $10,000, those checks need to go directly to Bank of America's insurance company to be endorsed and then sent back to the buyer so that they can go cash it. So some of them are easy, some of them are a little bit more difficult. And I was just picking up on the tail end of that. In terms of anything mortgage related going on as it affects purchases in the industry, there's not really a whole lot to report. Something that has made quite a bit of news lately at the end of October was the kind of revamping of the HEMP program, Home Affordable Mortgage Program, Modification Programs. Basically, a couple years ago, the government came out and said that they'll allow borrowers to refinance their homes if they're securitized by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, and they could be upside down on a home up to 5% upside down. Okay. Typically, you need to have equity in your home to be able to do a refinance. These programs allowed you to not have equity up to 5% and then up to 25% upside down on the home. They're basically now doing, which was great. I mean, it helped me do a lot of refinances for customers that normally otherwise wouldn't have been able to. That program was set to end next year. Congress did go ahead and revamp the program to now allow for no upside down requirement, meaning appraisals really aren't even needed, whether you're 5% upside down, 10%, 20, 40%, 100% upside down on the home. The program will allow for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to be able to refinance those programs. We have not been issued guidelines on the program yet. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the government is basically set to issue guidelines to the lenders some point in the middle of November, and the banks are hopefully going to be able to implement this new refinance program sometime in the beginning of December, once we get all of our systems to align with what their guidelines will allow for. So it will be, and hopefully it'll add a nice little bit of juice to the market and allow people that are severely upside down at the home trying to make ends meet. Maybe they're at a 5%, 6% interest rate, maybe get it down into the 4s. It will certainly help. I don't expect it to be a whirlwind savior of all real estate problems, but it is something good. Interest rates as a whole right now, still hovering around the 4% mark on 30-year fixed mortgages. Government, Fed, policymakers have all pretty much said that they're not doing anything interest rate related until at least the middle of 2013. So we will see market movements on mortgage rates, but certainly not any government policy movement on interest rates. So most economic forecasts are expecting that mortgage rates are going to stay somewhere in the low to mid, maybe possibly high 4s over the course of the next 2 years. So certainly from an interest rate environment, there's not, the interest rate environment will certainly be conducive to, helping the real estate market.
A lot of people are really upside down, but do they have to show a major hardship to be able to refinance?
No. The guidelines are pretty simple. Has to be a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan. Okay. So if it's a VA loan, FHA loan, a jumbo loan, right off the bat, it's not going to work. It has to be Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. They have to have made the last 12 months in mortgage payments. No late payments allowed in the last 12 months. And they have to have stability of earnings. They have to have a job. There are certainly other nuances that follow in there, but that's the basic premise.
Okay. How does somebody find out if their loan is a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac?
There's for me, if it's a Bank of America customer, I can look it up very easily. There are links if you go to the HAMP website. There's links everywhere that say if you can check here to see if you have a Fannie Mae loan, Freddie Mac loan. So if anybody Google searches it, there are tons of ways to figure out. I mean, it's a very highly searched item right now. But they can always contact their servicer. So if they have Chase or Wells Fargo, they can simply contact them.
And what if somebody has a home equity loan on top of their mortgage? How does that factor in?
It cannot be rolled into the refinance. So the refinance itself can only be for the Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac insured loan. So any second mortgage or equity line that was taken after, or even if they did a first and second combo when they bought the home, it's only the first mortgage that can be refinanced. Most of the institutions, the major lenders out there, have agreed, if they've agreed to work with the HAMP program, then they've also agreed to do the subordinations of their second liens. So those second liens have to be resubordinated, meaning the lien holder on the second has to agree for the first mortgage to be redone. But they basically come out and flat said that if we're partaking in the program, we will resubordinate.
How does the B of A co-op program work with short sale?
Co-op?
The co-op, well, they call it the co-op program. The B of A short sale situation where they're getting money, the sellers are giving money at closing.
Yeah, it's part of the HAFA program. It's, to be honest with you, it's not something that I'm truly familiar with because I don't really deal with that aspect of the financing. I can tell you this right now, Bank of America is part of one of the banks that are leading the initiatives to go ahead and almost do pre-short sale approvals. A lot of times, most of the banks out there, they won't start the short sale process until the seller comes with a contract and then they have to start it. So now what the banks are allowing to be done is actually you go through the short sale process before that home is even marketed. That way it can be marketed as a short sale. And then, yes, I mean, I've read certain instances where the banks are giving anywhere from $3,000 up to $25,000 to help facilitate with the short sale itself. To my knowledge, Florida right now isn't one of those $25,000 states. I think that's, it is somewhat geographically designed in terms of the properties and who gets the money, but it's almost like cash for keys. Has anybody dealt with foreclosures and heard of the cash for keys? Where if the bank comes in and if you leave the house and you leave the house nice and broom swept and clean, you don't tear out the kitchen and tear out the fans and all that stuff, then we'll give you $3,000 to move out of the house. It's kind of along that premise where it's an enticement. I'm sorry.
The appraisers being very conservative in their appraisals now, or are they going in and then if there's a foreclosure, are they letting that weigh heavily in their appraisals, or?
I mean, as a general answer, yes. I mean, appraisers are going to be more conservative today than they were in the past, and that's just due to just the enormous amount of regulations in the regulatory environment that came down through HVC, the Home Valuation Code of Conduct, which is not the best program, but it is what all the appraisers have to go with right now. To answer your question specifically on foreclosures, 10, 15 years ago, foreclosures and short sales were considered distressed sales, okay? And if there was enough sold properties in the area, you could leave those distressed sales out. They weren't considered in the value of an appraisal, okay? Today, foreclosures and short sales are 50-60% of sales. So the appraisers cannot any longer leave them out of the equation because they are the market. It used to be that foreclosure was an exception to the market. Today, foreclosure and short sales are the market. So yes, if the next door neighbor just short sold their home or foreclosed on their home, that is a comparable that will be used and it will affect everybody on the street. And it has been for years now. Yeah.
Chase was the one that was giving $25,000. I just did one for a client where I got him $10,000 at the closing, and Bank of America is doing up to 20, and we just got a letter yesterday when I'm not even a contract. I did this I like to do my short sales ahead of time, and I can work with Bank of America. They're giving her $18,325 at closing, as long as we close by July 27th or July something. So, yes, you can do it ahead of time, and that's the best way to do it. You can do it. You know how to do it.
And it's just
cash for, well, no, this is a short sale. So Bank of America is very aggressive right now.
and it's just more the industry as a whole is now being able to catch up to the demands of it. 2 years ago, it was trying to take a sip of water out of a fire hose, the amount of phone calls coming in versus the amount of people that we had to actually work it. So now that the staffing and the knowledge base around short sales is actually ramped up, we can actually now be proactive instead of reactive to it. So, any other questions? All right, thanks so much.
Okay, now we're going to go into the whole presentation. Anthony, you want to come up? I had met with Anthony, and they have a very interesting product, very different than what your typical mold solutions are, and I think you'll find it interesting.
Hi, my name is Anthony Cipolle with National Biosafe, and this is Ron Berkowitz, who's also with Biosafe. He's a consultant. He's been with the company for a long time. Today we're going to be doing a presentation about mold. So kind of I made it a little more proactive type of presentation of what to do when you find mold and how to protect yourself from losing a seal or things of that nature. I'm going to tell you two things personal about me. One, I'm Italian, and two, I have a Boston accent. So you guys got to follow along with me. And I was doing this presentation with my girl last night, and she said, "That's not a word." And I said, "That's a word." She said, "That's not a word." I said, "Well, in Boston we use that." She says, "Take it out." And I took it out. So just follow me, the words. All right. All right, so about mold, we're going to find out what it is, how it grows, the health effects, how to prevent and clean, and how not to lose or hold up your home seals. Characteristics of mold: microscopic. They contribute to decomposition of material. There's thousands of different species. Actually, there's over 100,000. They need water, moisture, and oxygen to grow. And invisible spores reproduce in the air. Mold in buildings, building materials. So mold grows when excessive moisture accumulates in buildings. Humidity levels are normally above 60%. And mold can be found everywhere: bathrooms, behind walls, wall cavities, floors, carpets, HVAC systems, furniture, etc. Airborne mold and surface mold. So spores from mold can be trapped in wall spaces during construction when the home was first built, which can be dormant for many years. So what happens is accumulated moisture from high humidity, leaks, flooding can reactivate and release spores into the air. And mold can circulate and land on all household surfaces. And you see some pictures here with the couches, the cabinets, and especially drywall. How does mold grow? Well, mold needs a food source. Wood, drywall, carpet, it's all good food source, and it likes to feed and grow out there. It needs water intrusion, pipe breaks, roof leaks, window leaks, and moisture. High humidity. No leak from HVAC is not working properly. You know, how many times have you walked into a unit you're selling, the HVAC is not working, and then all of a sudden you smell a little mustiness. And time. Mold can grow within 24 hours. Signs of mold. You know, I get people that call me up and they say, "Well, I don't know if I have mold in the house." And I always ask this question: do you have musty smells? Any odors? Do you visually see any mold? Anyone in the house having health symptoms? And the last thing is scientific mold testing. Have you done any testing? Things to watch for going into the homes: existing moisture problems in the building, building material is wet for more than 24 hours, hidden sources of water, high humidity, building occupants reporting health problems or musty odors, and our building material is damaged. You know, normally it's compromised sheetrock or roof leaks. You see ceiling tiles and things that are wet or compromised. Those are all good signs that they could possibly be a mold issue. Be proactive. The real estate industry must be proactive to limit the potential liability associated with mold litigation. Avoid potentially devastating health and property damage that mold can cause, as well as unwanted media attention. Don't lose the seal. Don't let fungi ruin a potential deal. Types of toxic molds. Toxic mold and fungi that contributes to disease and illness. Aspergillus is normally an airborne mold that we find in majority of homes that that testing results come through. Staphylococcus is the black mold. That's the mold we usually find on walls. And then a couple other molds of penicillin, classiforium, very well known. But anytime you walk into a house, you see black, green, white, or mushroom, spider shapes on walls or surfaces, it's a good shot that it's going to be mold. Potential health effects. Molds can produce allergic reaction, cause asthma attacks, irritate the eyes, skin, nose, throat, and produce toxic substances called mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are toxic chemicals products produced by fungi. So this is why most people get sick is because of mycotoxins. All right. How Biosafe can help manage a toxic mold situation. We have a 5-phase remediation plan. Phase 1, discovery and detection. Biosafe trained personnel comes in, we do a building physical, we determine if a biological contaminants is there or other indoor air quality issues. If detected, we look for the source locations, identify the problem areas. Phase 2, find the leak. We have moisture readings that we can do and put into the wall to see if there's leaks behind walls. We also have scopes, so we can actually look behind drywall to see if mold's growing behind it. And we have all these other type of machines for air quality, check relative humidity, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and then we fix the leak. That's the most important thing you can do, is fix the leak. So and also when to test, air and swab samples. Normally, you want to test when you're not sure if there's mold or you don't know how widespread it is. So companies will come in and do air and swab testing. Biological risk assessment. If a biological risk is detected, a treatment and maintenance plan is discussed with the client. This is my dog, and my girl told me not to put this in, but I want to make him famous.
Does he have a Boston accent also?
Yeah, I think he did. He's a Boston Terrier. He's called a Waddle. Phase 3 treatment. The TM100 product. It's formulated to remove all types of spores. It's applied to contaminate surface areas. Works by coating surface areas with enzymes and organic components. It's non-toxic to humans and pets. Also with the TM100, it's been university tested. They did a six-month study on it, and it shows that it removes mold off sheetrock and lumber with no regrowth. And OSHA did a VOC test on it, and it shows that it's safe for humans and pets. Here's one of the jobs that we did. The TM100 product was used to decontaminate surface areas, including walls, floors, furniture, and office areas. So TM100 doesn't discolor the surfaces. You don't really have to remove a lot of fixtures and items. But as you can see, this is one area where there was mold and it was all black, and then this is how it came out after we were done with remediation. TM100 products great into ventilation systems, ductwork, pipe chases. So we use these machines and it automizes out. It's almost like a packing effect. This is a crawl space that we did. Obviously, it's not crawl spaces in Florida, but it's just to show that we minimize tear outs and reconstruction. I don't want to go in and rip a house apart. That's not why we developed this company. If things are compromised and things need to come out, we will take them out. But if we can save things, we'll try to save them. You know, the last thing you want to do is you have a sale closing on Friday, and then all of a sudden a little leak happens on Wednesday, and a construction guy's telling you, well, you can rip all the tile out, you can rip all the cabinets out, you can rip the HV. I come in and say, no, we don't have to rip this out. Let's dry things out. Let's treat whatever mold could possibly be here, and let's save as much as possible. Third-party clearance test. So how do you know the work's done correctly? After remediation is done, the company will come in and do some air sampling, the regular report, and show you lab results to show that everything is fine. Prevention. Following the remediation program, BioSafe offers prevention and maintenance plans tailored to the client's specific needs. So, you know, we're really a preventive company too. We're going to give you as much information as we can to help you, after we solve the issue, so it doesn't happen again. Prevention is always better than the cure. It is less expensive to take measures to prevent a mold problem when you see it than ignoring it or covering it up. Bleach and paint are not good ideas. How many times I've heard real estate people, not saying length, but they say, oh, this is a mold, we're just going to get some bleach, we want to put some plain paint over it. There's a reason that mold's there, and it's because it's a moisture or leak. There's something going on, so you really got to find the source of the problem. BioSafe uses scientific equipment and construction knowledge to solve the mold and moisture and water issues. We are a GC company. We are a construction company. We've been doing construction for a long time. I have great GC guys that go on to the site and find what's causing the mold to grow. And that's the main thing. Using preventive and corrective measures and confirming that no contamination is present will help you sell your home with no interruptions. TM100 testing. Here's some of the testing that Dr. George Carroll did at the University of Oregon. TM100 is a winner, and we recommend that you use it for cleaning mold on any surface that supports mold growth, including drywall as well as wood substrates. Some of the other people that use us, U.S. Naval Base in Connecticut, police stations in Rhode Island, a lot of public schools. We did a school in Hillsborough, Florida. Habitat for Humanity and Lane Realty has used us. So ask your co-workers about us. They'll say good things. US Navy base. This is a recommendation they gave us. We tried numerous applications of bleach and other methods suggested by EPA, but we're not able to solve a problem on our own. Your product was applied to floors, walls, ceilings, ventilation systems within 48 hours, and after 18 months of naval efforts to control the problem, biosafety achieved complete success, verified by a certified independent laboratory. Then they did a one-year study. They really wanted to check this out. And research conducted in cooperation with the U.S. Navy and the Guam Naval Base, scientific spore count data conducted almost 1 year later has indicated no reoccurrence of biological contamination or new spore growth or treated surface areas. Gene Taylor from Hillsborough County. We did the school for him. The turnaround time in order to get classrooms back on surface is outstanding. The application came 100 was just what we needed to save time and money. We are foreclosure specialists. FiberSafe did over 250 mold remediation jobs last year nationwide for Wells Fargo and Bank of America, saving time and money for banks and clients with our 1-8K technology. That's one of a kind. We have all the proof that our technology works. We come in at cost-effective pricing, and we do a lot of foreclosure work. And we are well connected in South Florida. Electricians, plumbers, roofers. I can get anybody, anywhere, anytime to solve any problem you have with a house that you're selling. BioSafe develops a plan of action response to reduce or eliminate levels of microbial growth and other indoor air quality contaminants in buildings to protect your clients and the general public. With over 31 years of experience and over 25,000 successful mold remediation jobs completed across the U.S., we are here to help. I can pretty much do anything. I'll even come to your house and take out your garbage if you need to. I'll do anything. I want to work, as hard as you guys work for your customer, I want to work that hard for you. And I really mean that. I will go over and above what I have to do to make sure any problem is solved for Lane and make sure the sale goes through. Any questions?
Are you the testing and the remediation?
No, there's a state law now that says you can't test and remediate the same property. So I don't test. I mean, I have a license to test. If for some reason you couldn't find a testing company and you needed us, but we couldn't remediate that same property if we did do testing. But I really choose not to test. So you can find good testing companies out there. They take air samples. They're basically the same. All test companies are normally about the same. You really want to find a good company to find the leak. You got to find the source. That's the main thing.
Who does the retesting afterwards?
Again, that's up to Lane, whatever company you want to use. Normally, if you hire a company to do the pre-testing, you hire the company to do the post-testing. But I've seen it before where they hire one company and at the end they hire another company.
Cost-wise, how cost-effective is it?
Very, very cost-effective. If I had to give you a ballpark number, we range depending on construction we're normally about $3 to $6 a square foot. But again, I'm going to save as much as I can. I'm going to work with you. And I know the banks do not like to spend money to redo things or rip things out and rebuild things. So I'm going to work as much as I can to make sure that we save as much money as we can on properties and just do the job we need to do.
How quickly do you come out from the time we get a call?
I'll go on right now. I'm joking. Where do you want to go? I'm getting in my car and follow. That's how
If there is a leak and you find it within 24 hours, it gets into the carpet or the baseboard, and you ventilate it right away, is that safe to say there won't be any more mold in there? You ventilate it real good, you lift the carpet,
You're being proactive, which is great, and really what you're gonna...
you fix the leak.
You fix the leak,
Yeah,
you're being proactive, you dry things out, you ventilate it. So in the next few days, your nose is gonna tell you, is there any musty smells, any type of odors, you see any discoloration. Well, if you do have any musty odors, discoloration, hire a testing company. Let's find out if there is mold, how widespread. That's what I would do if you felt there was a need to it, or if your client was concerned. And normally it's peace of mind. They might say, oh, there's a leak, you gotta have it tested. I don't care if you think there's mold, there's not mold, it's peace of mind most of the time. But if you ventilate it and everything's dry,
Fix the leak.
it's fine. And one thing about Bioset, we have over $500,000 of water equipment. I have blowers to dehumidify, I have everything. So I can do pretty much any type of environmental issues that you guys might have.
Do you have to cordon off the area? Do you do all that so that these things don't go out into the air?
Yeah, we do that. We do containments and things on that end. You know, it just depends on the situation. You know, obviously, if this room was filled with mold, we'd probably put a containment door up. You know, it just depends on, you know, the situation, because every house and condo and unit is so different. But we do containment all the time.
Hi, do you guys do anything with the air conditioning if there's mold in the AC unit and
Yeah,
all that?
Yeah, we automize into the HVAC system, and basically, again, our product's like the Pac-Man effect, and anywhere that mold is hidden, our product will go in and chase the mold and eat away. And then also, again, the air sampling at the end of the day will show that the results are back to a healthy and normal situation again.
It's basically your testing done based upon air samples and not internals or swabs?
You know, I've been doing this for 15 years. I think air sampling is going to be the best type of sampling, just because you're going to know what you're breathing in. You know, those mycotoxins can get into your bloodstream, and I've seen pictures in your heart and your brain, in your lungs, and it causes a lot of damage. So, you know, the air sampling at the end of the day is really going to tell you if everything's back to a normal level. I'm out of breath, but I'll take it.
Okay. Just a little story, and that's not how Anthony got here, but Anthony and I met on the internet. About 5-6 years ago, he sent out a mailing to realtors. And lo and behold, one of my foreclosure properties had mold. I said, what the hell, I'll give him a job. He has been doing my mold now since then, and personally he has done it to my house. I had mold, the vent on the outside wall was broken. So when it rained, the water came in through the vent down the wall. He came in, he took down the drywall, only the part that he needed, and there on the brick was this black mold. I watched this product work. They come in, we dried it out first. They sprayed the wall, the cinder block, and it sizzled. And that was it. It was gone. There is no odor. It's all natural products. When you're dealing with a bank, especially, whether it be a short sale, foreclosure, or regular sale, the banks do not want chemicals in there because those chemicals can later come back and haunt you. They want a natural product. As far as I know, you're one of 2 companies that have a natural product, and that is certified. And one of the things that the banks are going to ask you, especially if you're dealing with a regular sale, they find out there's mold, you can't get a mortgage unless that mold is taken care of. They're going to want to know if it's natural, and they're going to want, you know, the air samplings, which he takes care of everything. I can't begin to tell you how many deals he has saved for me, because after all, I'm doing foreclosures. These homes have been vacant for 2 years, 3 years. It grows. There's no AC. It grows. We live in Florida. So, I mean, you know, it's like a little commercial here, but he has really saved us and can do the same for you. When you're dealing with older people, which we all do, they're the ones that panic because they never grew up with mold, they didn't know. All they have to do is sit and watch this product work, and it just gives them ease, you know, that it's great. But again, it's natural. It's not a chemical.
Jane's been really great to my company and myself, and she believes in our technology and our work, and I've shown her numerous times that it works. Also, Dawn Borgione, I certainly am right. She has used our technology and our product, and she knows it works. So I've done work for Lane, and you can ask your coworkers again. But I really want to thank everybody for having me, especially Scott. I really appreciate having the opportunity to be with such a great real estate team, and you know, I hear only the best about Lane. You guys are some of the best brokers in South Florida, and that's all I hear. And I want to be part of your team because I want to be the best too.
Thanks, Anthony. All right. My comments on mold are going to be very brief, but I was talking to Lee, and Lee made a very good point. First of all, I think you have to understand we're single agents. We transition to transaction brokers, we sell a lot of our own stuff, but when we start, we're single agents. What that basically means is we represent the best interest of our clients. So, we have a difficult walk that we have to do, because what do we do if we see that there's mold in the house? And we bring it to our sellers, and the seller says, oh, it's not mold, it's gone for years, we had a leak, we fixed it, no big deal. And the next thing you know, they're painting over it. In today's world, we're seeing evidence of people turning a blind eye and making bad decisions and not taking action. These are things you got to be careful about. God forbid you witness this, you do nothing. Somebody moves in, their child gets sick, they do a little research, blah, 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 and you're in the middle of this. We saw it with Joe Paterno in Penn State now, So remember, when you're trying to protect something, your commission, your fiduciary, whatever it is, there are consequences. So my feeling is, Lang's policy is, do the right thing. And if that means having to walk away from the listing, we'll walk away from the listing. Because at the end of the day, we're going to do things right. We cannot conceal material defects to the house. We know that. If you know something is wrong, you must disclose to the other party. Now, don't get overly paranoid about this. If you ask the seller, do you have any problems with your roof? And they say, no, the roof is great, no problems, it's watertight. You aren't a roofer, and if you have no evidence of a smell, no evidence of leaking, that's okay. Okay? This is why we have them fill out the seller disclosures. And again, the seller's disclosures should be filled out in the handwriting of the sellers, asking all the different defects that they may know about, so that we can limit our liability. This is basically CYA. We ask the questions, they fill it out, then it comes back and we find out there was a known leak in the house. They had a plumber there, they had all this different information. We didn't know. We asked them. They said no. We're done. But if you don't do these things, we have problems. So again, when in doubt, do the right thing. If you're still on the fence, bring it to me and Kay, we'll do the right thing. But at the end, it is not worth it. God forbid something major happens with the mold and we concealed it and knew about it. You got to live with that. So again, but the product is great, and Anthony's great, and how many people are ready to run out of this office meeting and do anything? So anyway, the new website is doing fantastic. I'm getting a lot of very positive feedbacks from our clients and our agents. The leads are starting to come in. We're getting many more leads than we've ever had before, and many more quality leads. I can't impress upon you enough that this is just the beginning. This is, stage one of 100 stages of continuing to improve and modify and change and add things. They're going to add value and continue to create traffic. But, for being around for less than a month, very, very happy with the way it's working. Did Fran send around the Line magazine? Okay, so the Line magazine is now getting ready to start being produced. For those that are new, it's mailed out to 60,000 of the wealthiest people used to be from Palm Beach Gardens to Boca. Now we're all the way up to Port St. Lucie. But it's a fantastic marketing vehicle for our agents. It's $1,000 a page, which sounds like a pretty decent cost for advertising, or even what I would call on the pricier side. But when you figure that it's given out for over a year and it reaches the clients that you want to reach for a 1-year period. 350 Lang agents are giving it out. Local West membership gives it out. Lang management gives it out. It's really incredible, and you're talking about $80 a month when you amortize the use of it. So again, it's optional, like all our advertising and marketing, but I think it's something you want to consider because of the length of it. Your client picks it up, you're not in the magazine, you know, do they feel you're part of it? And again, let's talk about advertising and marketing, and I might, you know, discuss it a little too frequently, but it's not one thing. It's not going to be the magazine, it's not going to be the newspaper, it's not going to be the direct mail, it's not going to be, you know, homes and land or whatever. It's a culmination of a lot of things. You are being paid as a professional to market and sell a house. And if you don't bring evidence of your ability, past success in what you do, it kind of rings hollow when you say, we're going to make a postcard, but you don't show one. I'm going to put you in a magazine, but you don't show what it looks like. The question will be, have you ever done it? Have you ever done it successfully? So again, I think these different things are evidence of success. And I really can't impress upon you enough how important it is to leverage all our competitive advantages in the marketplace. You know, homes and land. This is, I think, our 3rd month that we're going to go in. Ever as a company, we're already up to 15 pages. 15 pages. We just started. We have 16 pages every week in the Sunset one. It's so funny. I'm still getting questioned over and over from different agents that I recruit or different people I speak to that are competitors, talking about how newspapers just don't work. They don't work, they're dying, and I keep saying, you know what? Why is our company growing from 100 to 350 people in a 6-year period when no one else is doing anything? You know, I like the skepticism, and we'll continue doing it because I think that's the point of difference, is that people look for the easy answers, and your competitors are not in the paper for one reason. Not that it's dying, they can't afford it. That's the truth. So understand, they all want to be like Lang, they can't. Holiday party. Can you believe we are 30 days away from the Christmas parties? I got to tell you, I don't know where the time has gone, but again, if you have not been to one of our holiday parties, it is unique, it is different, and it's basically like the nicest wedding you've been to. We're going to have probably close to 300 people. We're going to have it at Boca West Country Club. Okay, do you have the time?
5 to 8.
5 to 8. Unfortunately, we've got to the point where we just can't include spouses, so it's just agents, and it's free. Besides being free, you're going to see raffle tickets, you're going to see all kinds of prizes and advertising and marketing dollars that you're going to be available to win. I mean, I think it'll be $10,000 to $15,000 worth of available items that will be raffled off. So when you see ads for raffle tickets, you know, you don't have to buy any, but like the lottery, if you don't play, you can't win. So. All right. Well, you know, 2012, now that we see the end of the year is upon us, and I think it's very important that we realize we're going towards the start of a new year. And you know, it's amazing, no matter how good you do the year before, when January comes around, the slate is completely washed, and we start from zero. And our success is going to be based on what do we do? What is our plan? And how are we going to do it? I believe the market's going to get better. So your business should get better, but it'll be marginally better. I think the key to the whole thing is what are you doing proactively to change your business in a positive way? We've learned the last 6 years, the one thing we know is we cannot control the market. The market is the market. But we also know that we can control our business. And, you know, again, looking at Lang Realty as a business, you guys as a business, you know, we stayed consistent in our marketing and advertising. We put more emphasis on recruiting. And, you know, we worked harder and we worked smarter, and we prepared for the future, which is getting very close to, you know, coming, the future improvement of the market. I can't pick the timing. I can't tell you when it's going to come back to anything that resembles normal, but I can tell you we're probably close. We're basically hostage to two things right now. We're a hostage to the political instability and the economic instability. And what people hate is uncertainty. They would much rather know the bad news that they're going to face for the next 2 years, no matter how bad it is, because we can deal with it. But when people don't know how bad it could be, they get paralyzed. We got 70 million baby boomers that are getting ready to retire. Many of them have been on the fence for 5 or 6 years, and they all became real estate geniuses by doing nothing and watch the market go down. So it's going to take a little bit of good news and a little bit of forward motion before these people get off the fence. But let me give you a hint of what the future looks like. Tremendous demand for over 5 or 6 years. Tremendous. All waiting, ready, wanting to buy, getting older. Limited supply of housing. Think about it. You guys are out there every day looking at $400,000, $600,000, $800,000 houses. It's not an oversupply of housing out there. In fact, it's very, very tight. Can you imagine when we get some political certainty and some economic decent news? The amount of problems we are going to have with multiple offers is going to be incredible. Everybody's going to be fighting for the same property. So, my advice to everybody is list, 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 and let people fight over your property. You do not want to be one of the 4 agents that are trying to buy a property, because you're going to lose out more times than not. Your buyers are going to get frustrated, and what are they going to do? They're going to leave you because you can't find product for them. I'm telling you, if you ever want to be a listing agent and make a lot of money in the next couple of years, it's time. You know, no one, again, sees the top of the market. Nobody sees the bottom of the market. All we can do is look and realize that the top of the market, people were overpaying by a lot, knowing that they were overpaying. Bottom of the market, don't know when it is, but I can tell you, you can buy below replacement value, and your buyers are hesitating, and they're not jumping in. So, is that the bottom? I think it's pretty close. So again, I think this is a great opportunity to start sharpening your tools in your tool shed and realize all the marketing advantages that you have, if you do not use them, are going to go to waste, because as the market comes back to normal, everybody will be able to get into the real estate business and start to make money again. And if you're working primarily with buyers, I think you're going to have some challenges. Anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. Thanks everybody for coming, and go out and get some listings.
That was my presentation.
Oh, thank you very much.
I wanted to ask you, my son-in-law. Hi, and my daughter bought a house, and there was some leaks in the roof, and roofer fixed the roof. And once the water stops, they have to go in there and still try to clean it up.